Hello everybody, thanks for stopping by Wild Bird Creative. Here we are closing in on Christmas, and I have another quick project. Going to be a 4x6 today because maybe next year I'll want to use this as the family holiday card. This is not going to be a no mess project. I am going to be using paint because I want to have color in this one that I have applied. So I'm starting out with my Brilliant Yellow Green and my Tim Holtz Argyle stencil, and I'm just laying down a quick background layer. Nothing fancy, just getting some detail back there. It's all going to get covered up, but a little bit of this will peek through. So let me come back over here and add a little bit out along the edge. There we go. Okay, so that's what I've got. Very easy background. Next thing I've got is the Crafter's Workshop. Now this is a large stencil, but again, it's okay because I just want it for some detail. And I just have to decide where I want to put this because it is so large. I think I will do it right here, and I'll use a little bit of my alizarin crimson, which is getting real yucky. I've got to clean this up. I've got to go through and check all my paints and make sure that I don't have messes like that. So just grab another clean sponge. And again, I don't want the whole thing. I just want some of the details. Almost as if it's a faded image on a wall. Okay, just enough detail. And then this would be about where the repeat would be. And then right down here. Just line it up. And then just come along here and just hit that a little bit. So I just have some background interest. Now I'm going to use a glue stick for this first layer because I don't want to be putting matte medium on top of wet paint, but nor do I want to pause the video so it can dry. So this is just going right in here. It's just a scrap of Christmas Carol music. Which of course is going to get covered up. So it really does not matter. If you don't have Christmas Carol music, you can use whatever sheet music you have on hand. Now the next layer is going to be this, which is just a piece of tissue paper that a friend wrapped a gift in for me. Just kind of interesting. And let's just get this. Whoop, gotta go slow and steady, and I didn't. Luckily I caught it. Tissue paper is both wonderful and awful to work with. There we go. Okay. Start from the middle and roll out so that any little bubbles work their way to the edge and the center is stuck down nice and securely, because it's a lot easier to peel up the corners than to try and work anything else back in. And it does not matter that this is too big because I'm going to trim it anyhow once I can get it off my paper. There we go. Smooth that back out. And let me just do this right now. Get it out of the way. I know it's not the most interesting part of the video. But as long as I get the edges cut roughly back to size, I then don't have to worry about it. Okay, so there we go. That is now our third layer. Look how nice that looks with the music just kind of poking through. Now I've got a couple more pieces of the music here. I'm thinking before I do that, I want to add in my Stencil Girl stencil. Let's see, which way is up on this? I guess I can do it whichever way I want. And this time I want it in a dark hooker's green because I want it to contrast with the bright red that is on this. And I've got a little makeup sponge. If you haven't tried makeup sponges for stenciling, you really ought to give it a try. They're perfect for when you want to be very, very precise. And you can get them right at the market or your local drugstore. You don't have to run to a craft store. Let's see, let's put one here. And we'll do one down here in the middle. Let's get that guy right there on the edge. There we go. Now let's figure, which way do I want these? I think I want it down here on your side. And again, I did not trim this to fit so that I could move it around as I wanted until I got the placement that worked best. Now, this was torn right out of the book, so I've got that nice deckled edge there, which I want to leave. And this one I want to have hanging off a little bit also. There we go. And again, let's peel this up and trim them right off. These will go into my scrap pile for when I want to do some inchies. Okay, there we go. Oh, I love how the colors are all coming together on this. So I've got my Rejoice and Be Merry, but I'm not ready to put that on yet. I still want to add some more to this, and I think I want to add some gold and get my Stencil Girl stamp right here. And I think I want this particular detail. And let me dump out some of the gold here. And he's too big a sponge. Let me grab a smaller one. I think a makeup sponge is going to be my best bet. So here we go. There's an awful lot of tiny detail, and this is a very, very liquid paint. So let's see. And again, you're not doing all of it. You're just moving it around, getting parts that are of interest. That's the nice thing about this. You can come in with these little sponges and kind of feather things in. And you end up with just the little bit of detail that you're looking for. This is more of an accent than anything. So let me bring it up and line it up and come up a little bit, not a lot. Again, I'm just going for a hint of interest. Okay, and then let's do one along here too. And I'm going right over that green that I had from the previous stencil. And it just gives me that bit of sparkle that I'm looking for. Let me just get this to dry off a little bit. It's looking very, very festive. And now I want to bring back my Stencil Girl one and line it up right off of that guy. Bring it down a little bit. And this time I'm going to use the alizarin crimson again, but I'm just going to come in very, very lightly. I barely have any on the sponge because I don't want to cover up that gold entirely. I just want a hint of interest. And doing this pushes things to the back. It really highlights all your layers, which is exactly what I want. I think I'm going to put one right here. There we go. Let me set both of my stencils aside to get washed. Again, give this a quick air dry. Now I've got the paint, the torn up music, the tissue paper, then more paint, then 2 more pieces of torn up music, and more paint. Now I'm ready for my Rejoice and Be Merry. But I really want that to stand out. So once I make sure that my hands don't have paint or glue on them, I'm going to grab just a piece of scrapbook paper. Set that aside for a second. And I'm just going to trim down a piece. Let's see. I think I need it to be a little bit thinner than that. Let's see if I can take a little bit more off that. There we go. That's the size that I want it. Let's get the words right in place. Grab my very tiny embroidery scissors. Bring this back out, and I'm going to put it right across there. And that is the name of the carol. I don't know that one at all, but I liked the idea of rejoice and be merry. So now the last thing that I'm going to do is use my Art Alchemy metallic wax. And it's just a nice gold finish, and I'm just going to scumble around the edges with it. And just create just a little more glitter. And since this is very waxy, it spreads really nicely. Look at that. Bring it right along that edge. Get a little bit more. Now this does have an unusual smell, so if you're at all sensitive, you may not want to use these. And then just take my charcoal art crayon, run it along to really highlight those nice gold corners. Give it a nice aged look. See, and I said this was not going to be a no mess one, and you can see why. Paints and waxes and crayons. Now let me flip it over, trim off any more little bits. And there we have it, folks. Rejoice and be merry. I hope that you will try this. Try the Art Alchemy, try the art crayon, try the Stencil Girl and Tim Holtz and Crafter Workshop stencils, and plan ahead, make your card for next year. Thanks for stopping by, Wild Bird Creative.